today I'm just talking about all things about dealing with hardship because recently, I'm not gonna lie, the last couple weeks have been kind of interesting mentally, not gonna lie. Like, it's just, I would describe it kind of as a low, like just kind of learning about myself and navigating certain things that I'm dealing with in life and just learning how to deal with quote unquote losses and failures and just things that your mind may tell you that are false and not really real and just create a false perception of yourself. So with me dealing with that, I wanted to give you all this episode to give you all some things I've learned or just dealing with certain things and just kind of, I guess, reflecting on my life and really going over what I really want to do and who I want to be and how I want to be a leader and how I want to show up for others and show up for myself. So I just wanted to kind of give y'all this episode to show y'all that everyone goes through lows, everyone goes through highs and lows. That's what life is. I mean, everybody knows that, but I feel like people really, and I kind of did, you underestimate the lows and what you really can learn from it and what you can really gain from it if you really lean into it. And honestly, after experiencing certain things, I realized that the lows are what really matters. When you do certain things when you're tired or you're not feeling as motivated as before, maybe you're just having not the best day or whatever, those are the moments that really prove to like, dang, I'm really stronger than I think and I have way more potential than I think. And if you do it during a high period, you're like, oh, this is just, you kind of just like, you put it to the side. Like, you don't really think about it. I feel like when you're in a low, it forces you to really stop and really think and really assess what you're doing and okay, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about my day? How did this go? How did my training go? Stuff like that. You really analyze who you are and what you're doing in that moment. But anyway, I just wanted to give you all a quick, I guess, prelude to what I'm about to say. But the first thing I want to go over that I learned, take failure or a loss or a low as an opportunity to learn. I just think, kind of mentioned this in the district video, like instead of focusing on the process and focusing on the end of the destination, you don't really have an opportunity to learn. So if you win all the time, I mean, you wouldn't learn anything. You'd be like, oh, I'm automatically about to win. That's just the norm. But when, let's say, you quote unquote fail or you mess up or you have a misstep, that literally forces you to be like, okay, where did I go wrong? Or why am I focused on the end destination so much? Why am I focused on this? Why am I not enduring the process all the way? Why am I not, I guess practicing what I preach? Because I mean, when you lose or when you misstep or you make a mistake, the first reaction is to be like, why is this happening to me? Why did this happen this way? Why didn't this go the way I wanted it to? But I had to realize that that's literally the point. The point is to take that and okay, maybe okay, I'm gonna just use a mile as an analogy. So maybe you run a mile and you're trying to go for a sub 5 mile, right? And you go out that first 400 at like a 53, and you just blow up. And then when you finish, you're like, like why didn't it go the way I wanted it to? If you really sit there and think about it, like, bro, you went out that first 400 balls to the wall, like blazing hot. You know what I mean? So obviously, there's something you need to work on. You need to pace better. So you experience that. You experience hitting a wall to know, okay, I need to pace this. Maybe I should run like a 63 and keep it consistent to the last one and then kick. So I just feel like, especially with training, like certain workouts, maybe you might miss a split by 3 seconds, and or maybe you might blow up in a race because you went out the first mile too hard, you went out the first 800 or whatever too hard. It teaches you and it gives you that experience and that stimulus to let you know, whoa, you need to fix something and you need to reanalyze how you're going to execute that whatever you're doing. So I just feel like whenever things don't go your way and you kind of get slapped in the face and reminded, okay, you need to fix something or you need more time to learn because you don't know as much as you think. You need to get humbled. Take that as an opportunity and take that as a privilege to learn because honestly, just this past week, I've been reminded that you have to be a lifelong student. You can't just say, oh, I know everything or oh, I've learned everything and oh, I already know how to approach this. I think you should always take everything you can and learn from it. I mean, I think that's the whole name of the game. You have to learn and then actually put that to use, put that to the test, and put that to things you're doing. You can't just learn and just say, oh, I learned that, and you never use it and you never apply it to your life in terms of what you want your life to look like. You have to take that as an initiative to learn and get better and progress. Because I feel like honestly, failure or missteps. I keep using different words because I mean, I honestly don't think failure is a bad thing. But anyway, just a failure, I think honestly that's a win. Because the thing is, you look. I feel like me now. I look at it. Okay, this is a chance to really lean into discomfort and really see. Okay, who am I really? Like who am I really trying to be? And am I? I'm gonna continue to hold the standard even in adversity. It's really a chance to prove yourself and prove yourself right and prove that I am who I say I am and prove that I'll give my chance the ability to learn and give the process the chance to play out. So anyway, over other than that little blurb I just said, I just think, like I said, if you always want to execute things with 100% accuracy, that's a hard word to say for apparently. 100% accuracy, you wouldn't evolve and grow. And I think it's hard to accept that because the things with failure, it sucks. Like it doesn't matter. You're. I think you should give yourself the right to feel that emotion. Like, all right, I'm gonna lie, that sucked. I didn't like that. But the thing is, after like give yourself like a few minutes or a day or not even a day or two, like max a day. But sometimes it just lingers because that's just kind of how it is, and you just kind of have to navigate towards that. But anyway, it's hard to accept it, but you have to endure hardship and discouragement to identify your weak points and identify, okay, maybe I need to work on my mindset at 500 meters to go in the mile. Maybe I need to work on my mindset when adversity hits and when work doesn't go the way I wanted to, or when schoolwork doesn't go the way I wanted to, or whenever someone says something crazy and I want to like cuss them out, but I got to remain cool and realize that it's not even worth it. So I think this applies to everything, but I just attribute that's a hard word to say. Attribute it. That's what I meant to say to like training. So I feel like that's a very good analogy for me personally. But first thing, take failure as an opportunity to learn. That's what I really wanted to get across there. But the second thing, this too shall pass. Now, this one, I mean, I've already known the idea of this, but I heard this in, guess what? A Nick Bear podcast because I always listen to those podcasts. So don't be surprised. But I heard this in the Nick Bear podcast, and basically the origin story with how Nick found out about this is his grandmother used to tell him this. Grand people. I don't know why I said grand people, but your elders and old elder people that you hang around. They'll say certain things, or just people you hang around in general. They might say something that sticks, and for him that stuck, and for me that stuck too. Because I just feel like, let's say you're in a hard period of your life where maybe you're grieving someone passed away, or maybe you're in a workout and it's starting to suck and it's starting to get progressively difficult. You got to realize that this nothing lasts forever. It doesn't matter if it's good, quote unquote, good or bad. Nothing lasts forever. And just the saying, "this too shall pass." I mean, it might sound corny, but it's real. I mean, I think the main thing is, I mean, you could say that all you want, but I think the main thing is having that in your head and using that as an initiative to keep going so you can get to the end of the tunnel. Because, I mean, you just say this too shall pass. If you say anything, any type of, I guess, affirmation or whatever, you just say that and you don't put some type of courage or some type of effort towards it, it's just going to be a thought. It's going to be an idea. It's not going to be reality. But anyway, I just think that thought and just that idea and that headspace of saying this too shall pass is just giving yourself a reality check, making sure that this is temporary, no matter whatever it is. Maybe if you're feeling some anxiety from work or whatever you do with school or fitness or whatever, you're feeling anxiety from that, or just being around certain people, or maybe you might feel upset or depressed or whatever. Just reminding yourself that it'll pass eventually, and just learning from it. Like I said in the first part, learning from it and giving yourself the opportunity to really reflect and really evaluate the situation. But I just think the fact of this too shall pass, just it just gave me a sense of clarity and renewal, and just allowing myself to dig deep into who I am as a person, like especially in dark times. I just feel like me telling myself that and me reminding myself that just made it just, I guess, gave myself, how to explain this, like just a sense of relief, in a sense, like just being like, all right, this is what it is right now, but there'll be a point in time where I might look at this and be like, why was I mad about that? Or like, why was I upset about that? Or just, just kind of laugh at it a little bit. So it's just like putting it in perspective. And I think it reminds you to be even more present, because since it will pass, you have to be even more present to absorb everything you can in a situation. But this too shall pass. I just think that's a good saying and a good, I guess, mantra to have when stuff might hit the fan, and just to remind yourself and remind yourself to stay where your 2 feet are. I think that's a big important thing because I think that's what, like I said, the main thing I realized is when you look at the end destination, you forget about the process. You forget about the consistent nights you've worked out, the consistent days of putting in consistent efforts day in and day out. Because I mean, that's what really equals out to the destination. Because if you don't have the process and the consistent bricks over a long period of time, you won't even have the destination. Because if you focus on the destination, you'll have neither. You won't have the end destination, and you won't have the process most of the time. So, focusing on the process and just going through the consistency and the determination, all that fun jazz, and I'm not saying let's say you have a race and you're like, oh, I just focus on the process, so I'm not going to execute the race. I'm not saying that, but the thing is, I feel like there's a lot of times where the destination won't be there yet. So you have to really lean into the process and really remind yourself of the work it took to even get to that point. But the third thing, I think this is a main one. Your mind can make you or break you. And I think the mind is a powerful tool that can be used to your benefit or your detriment. Because, I mean, on the I guess bad side of mindset, you can tell yourself, "Oh, I'm not worthy enough. Oh, I can't compete with them. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do that." If you tell yourself that repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly, and that's literally who becomes who you are, it's gonna be very tough. You're gonna be miserable, to be honest, and it's gonna be you're honestly fighting yourself. And I think the main thing that causes that I've noticed is competing with others instead of competing with yourself. Because I've realized that I think I was talking to one of my friends one time, and I just think a lot of people they want to win, and when they win, they compromise their standards to meet the standards of other people or exceed the standards of other people instead of exceeding their own standard or getting close to it. 'Cause I feel like, let's say, I'm gonna use running again because I'm a runner, so just bear with me. Let's say you run with some dude you were trying to beat for some reason, or competing with each other. And let's say your average 1K time is like a 3:30, and you ran a 3:43, and he ran a 3:53. So obviously you beat him, but normally you run a 3:30. So you're lowering your standard just to beat him for what? You know what I mean? So I just think I realized that is one thing I heard too. I was listening to this audio book, The Courage to Be Disliked, when I was walking sometimes a week, and it was saying that you shouldn't even try and compete with others because everyone's moving forward, but some people are just in front of you. And I kind of thought about that for a second. I'm like, what does he mean by that? So it's just saying, I think what I got from that, just my interpretation, everyone's going to progress. Everyone's going to progress differently in different rates, but everyone's moving the same direction. It's just somebody's in front of you. It's not saying that they're better than you. They're just moving in the same direction as you at a different speed. So I just feel like everyone's moving at different speeds and at different periods of their life, but everyone is moving forward. For the most part, if you're progressing, you're progressing. So I don't think the main thing is to try and chase them. I think the thing is to learn from other people and to, because another thing too, there's this video that came out, a Nick Bear video, no surprise, Nick Bear video, and he was saying that, not competing, that's not the word I want to use, just training with people that are quote unquote better than you. Like by better, I mean faster, or they can sprint better, blah blah blah. Because the thing is, instead of competing with them, and I think for me personally, I really see this in the end of races. So when you're trying to kick and finish the race out, if you see someone in front of you, that's gonna push you to a PR and push you to push the limits you didn't think you could. Because I mean, at the end of a race, if you're alone, I'm not saying you. It depends on the person, but I'm not saying you won't push, but you will definitely push harder if someone's in front of you. Now, it's not saying, oh, I'm better than this person, or I'm superior, or you're weaker than me, or whatever. It's just that the fact that a person is in front of you, you just naturally want to get them and push yourself. I think the main thing that Nick's trying to say is if people are running faster, it's going to push you to run faster. Maybe not the same speed as them, but be progressively better than what you did before. So I just think another thing too, I'm going to leave out with before I move to the next session is belief before ability. Because I think the thing with me, obviously consistency is a big thing. I'm not saying consistency is any lesser than that's like the main thing everyone should strive for and have, in my personal opinion. No, a lot of people agree. I just think if you don't take the time to really believe in yourself and really say, I, like, I've done some pretty cool stuff, like really like noticing what you've done as a human being. Like it could be not yelling at someone, or maybe not talking back to your mom, or maybe taking the trash out more often, or maybe turning your assignments in more often. It could be literally anything. So I realize I think as runners, we kind of get not even runners, just someone who loves to train and push himself athletically, endurance wise, and strength wise. You get too attached to the numbers and too attached to that instead of your whole life as a whole. Because there's literally so many other things that you do as a human being that you've probably gotten better at that you don't even acknowledge. And you're just like, oh, I missed my split by 2 seconds. When in reality, you're still progressing overall. That minute detail means nothing. It's the overall scheme of things, and it applies to everything. But believing, because the thing is, when I say belief, I don't mean I can do this, I can do this, I can do this in the mirror every morning. I don't mean that. I mean, for in terms of belief, for me, it's just believing in, not even believing, trusting yourself. Because I think a lot of people don't trust themselves. Because when, let's say, you're in a certain situation, you're like, oh, I don't know if this will go. I mean, I think certain doubts and like your mind just going everywhere, that's normal. But it's just when you're in that arena and you start, like, it's literally that unwavering confidence that I'm about to finish this. Like, I'm not about to quit. I'm about to do this. I think that's what really belief is. I think is when you're in the arena and you're faced with adversity and you're being tested, you really know deep down in your heart, I'm about to finish this. I'm about to do it. It doesn't matter if it's ugly or it's the fast. It's gonna get done. Like I think that's what belief is for me. I'm not saying you have to be all jilly and jolly all the time. No, because sometimes you're gonna be in your head like your head's gonna tell you, "Oh, I don't know if I can do this." Oh, it's just gonna be self doubt. But I just think when the time comes and you're really faced with something and you pull through every single time, I think that's what belief is. Because I don't think it's realistic to say, "Oh, you're gonna always believe in yourself." I think sometimes your mind, not even you, your mind's gonna just start circling and trying to tell you things. In reality, like I said, it's false. It's not even what it is. You create your reality and you choose. I think the reality is what you really do. I don't think your thoughts are completely you. Because sometimes your thoughts will tell you some off the wall stuff, but you have to have the choice and the courage to push through that and choose the best option in that situation. The fourth thing I'm going to go over, don't beat yourself up. I think this comes a lot for higher achievers, people that are trying to just do great things in life. It's just at a certain point, and this happened for me, you forget who you really are. You forget the things you've done and the cool things you did. Not cool is subjective based on a person. Because for me, for example, like let's say when I was training for the 400, I used to run the longest easy run I'll do is 4 miles, and at this point in time, my longest run has been 10 miles. So for me personally, going from 4 to 10 double digits, that's pretty cool. If you would have told me that at that point in time compared to now, I'd be like, wow, like if I was me looking at a different person and I saw that, I'd be like, yo, he's rolling. That's pretty cool. Now that's different for every person. Maybe for football, you run more yards. I don't really know football, but maybe I guess you run more yards, you get more touchdowns. You looking from that point to you now, you be like, that's pretty cool. Or maybe I think a better example for like universally is the younger you, because I think I wrote this down when I was journaling. I was just kind of just thinking for some reason. Not even people think, humans think. Anyway, so younger you, let's say, like just the way you look, I guess, or just the way you put stuff on. I don't know, your fashion. I don't know, and you just look at your fashion from younger you to not younger you to older you now. You're like, dang, he can like he looks like the way he put his like clothes together look better, like progression. You know what I'm saying? So I just think a lot of times when you really try and I guess shoot for the stars and you really put yourself out there, you forget about all the cool things and all the consistent bricks you've stacked over a period of time. And I think I'm not saying to boast on people and stun on people. I'm not saying that, but stun on yourself. Really, I think you should really commend yourself. Not like for a long period of time and get stuck in it. Because if you get stuck in it, you're gonna stay stagnant. But I think for a short periods of time and maybe just periods of time in life, you should go over things you've done and just see the progression and really be like, I'm getting stronger, I'm getting better, I'm getting faster, I'm getting better mentally, I'm doing certain things better. I think it's really important to not beat yourself up and be like, oh, I suck and oh, like I'll never get out of this. And you know what I mean? Like, it's another thing too, and the courage to be just like this is the thing about the feelings of inferiority versus inferiority complex. I think I've gone over this a little bit, but from what I've heard so far, I just think like let's say for me, I missed my goal at district or whatever, my big goal of sub 18. So no, I don't want to use that example. I want to use the example because this is the one that really pushed me personally. When I missed my goal at district my sophomore year running the 400. Because if you don't know, basically I ran 60 at Taylor. It was a Taylor meet. I ran 60, and obviously I ran 60 for the first time. I expected to run sub 60 the next meet, and then that didn't happen. So I was like, I felt inferior to my um higher potential self. So that pushed me to where I am now. Now, let's say I would have looked at that and be like, "Oh, I'm done. Like, oh, I don't want to. Like, that's just a sign I shouldn't run anymore." It's an inferiority complex. That's just in my head. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do that. And that's really who I am. But a feeling of inferiority, that's just a moment that you might have misstepped or made a mistake or didn't execute to where you wanted to. And that gives you the initiative to go even harder. So I think that's two different things. It's not necessarily beating yourself up, but I think an inferiority complex when you beat yourself up constantly, that just becomes a complex of negativity and pessimism. So I think it's important to really acknowledge the good things you've done in terms of you, because good is subjective for each person, but acknowledging the cool things you've done in comparison to where you started to now. So the last thing I'm going to talk about, and I've kind of sprinkled this in throughout the whole podcast, is take more pride in the journey rather than the destination. And after district, like I mentioned, I was just awakened by the fact that I was focusing more on the goal of sub 18 rather than engulfing myself in the progress. And, you know, a trophy, a time, a placement, you being faster or better than others doesn't really matter as much as the progression. Because, I mean, if I look at my workouts and my splits from, like, a good example is 1K repeats. That's just the first thing that comes to mind for me. When I first did 1K repeats, I did 3 by 1K. This was junior year. This is when I first was transitioning to the, realm of distance running. Um, I was on average, I was running like a 340, 342. And then like my most recent 1Ks, I was running like 320, 317 on some of them. It was around like 317 to like 324 ish. So obviously that's progression. So I just think when you start, really getting good at something, you just really start, oh, I need to get to the finish. Oh, I need to get to this certain time. Oh, I need to beat this person. Oh, I need to do this in reality. You just need to keep progressing. You just need to be the main thing that I had to realize is being consistently good instead of occasionally great. Technically speaking, if you're progressing pretty much in every workout, and let's say you don't hit your time, that's being consistently good over occasionally great. And maybe it just wasn't your time to hit that time yet, and maybe it just was like you need some more time to learn before you can get to that point. Because obviously you want to get some big wins like marathon PRs and 5K PRs and then run some ultra marathons under 24 hours and all of that. But I just feel like if you aim solely for the destination, you put all your eggs in one basket, you put all your self worth into if I don't run this time, I suck. If I don't run this time, I'm nothing. If I don't run this time, I'm hopeless. If I don't run this time, I don't matter to anyone. And in reality, that's not even what it is. That's that doesn't equate to all the work and all the consistency you put in. That doesn't equate to all the workouts you've gotten better, and that doesn't equate to the longer distances you can go now. It doesn't equate to the mindset and the mind shifts you build and the lengths you pushed yourself. It doesn't equate to any of that. So I just think really enduring the process is really just taking it one step at a time. And I'm not saying, like I said, I think everyone should have the right to be frustrated when things don't go their way for a little bit. Don't dwell on it, but I think the main thing is to take what you can from it, learn from it, feel the emotions, feel the discouragement, and just take that as an opportunity to learn and do better next time and apply that next time. You can learn, but you can also not apply it. So when you learn something, you have to take that for what it is and apply it and really just be appreciative of the moments and be really, really aware of enduring the process and be really aware of what you're doing and how you're feeling and small wins, because a small win could be maybe you thought better during a workout, maybe you um Maybe you progressed by a couple seconds on 400-meter sprints. Maybe you added 5 pounds to the bar. Maybe you built a better relationship with a significant other. All those small wins are really important. And I just think this whole chapter in my life really taught me that small wins, they add up, and they ultimately add up to the big ones. But those are really the ones that matter, to be honest. But overall, that was just the episode, just talking about the highs and lows. So I just realized, kind of with a low of my own, I just realized that you really have to be thankful for the lows in life, because I realized that's when you really get reminded of who you are. And honestly, when you come out of them, you feel more in tune to yourself, and you feel more, honestly, like a leveled up version of yourself. Because I just feel like me taking the time to learn and really listen to podcasts and really kind of dive into myself and really just be more in tune with my emotions as a human being, it kind of gave me the chance to lean more into discomfort and hardship, and lean more into the hard times, to just feeling that and seeing that just gives me the opportunity to learn and the opportunity to be a better person, the opportunity to really dive into what I'm struggling with and what I need to work on as a human being. But that's the episode, just dealing the topic of dealing with hardship, because everyone, doesn't matter who you are or however it looks, you're gonna deal with hardship. And I just think, take it as a time to learn. Take it as a moment to refine yourself, and take it as a moment to, I guess, a renewal and rebirth for yourself, and take it as a time to evolve and grow and lean into the adversity and just feel the emotions. I think that's the main thing. But a little bit of a longer one, but I think y'all need to hear that, and I definitely need to hear that and reiterate that to myself as well. But be lifelong students, always learn, lean into discomfort, and this too shall pass.